What's going on, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to use PropStream to find off-market leads to market to motivated sellers. And the coolest thing about this service and software, you can use it nationwide. So it doesn't matter where you live, it works for your area. Now I'm going to try to keep this video around 10 to 15 minutes long so that you don't have to sit through like an hour-long PropStream tutorial video. And I'm still going to pack in all the information that you need to know. So you're definitely going to want to watch all the way to the end of this video. And then, of course, if you have any questions throughout the video, just drop them in the comment section below and I'll be sure to respond. And then lastly, I'm going to put a free trial sign up link below. And if you sign up using my link, I will do a 30-minute free coaching call with you where we can talk about, how to generate off-market leads. We can talk about, wholesaling, rehabbing, whatever it is you want to talk about. We can talk about sports if you want to, but, obviously I'm an affiliate, so I get paid a little commission from each sale. But it's a really awesome tool. And that being said, let's jump into it. So first things first, I'm going to log in here. And if you do sign up using my link, just shoot me an email or a message on Instagram, and then we can set up a call. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to build a list. So you can build a list a couple of different ways. You can do it by county, city, or zip code, or APN. Maybe that's just address. You can search by address. You can just pull up a specific address if you want to. But what I'm looking for is actually multifamily apartment buildings in a specific county. So I'm going to show you how to do a search here. So I'm looking for multifamily buildings in Alexandria, Virginia, because I kind of like that area and I like multifamily. So hey, why not? So when I first do the Alexandria, this pulls up all the properties in Alexandria, Virginia. And as you can see here, there's over 100,000. Now, what's really cool is the filter. So you can sort your list by many different factors. And I would recommend, as a real estate investor, you want to do at least 3 factors. You don't want to just market to everyone. Your marketing would be very ineffective if you did that. So you want to choose at least like 3 potentially motivated seller type of factors. So I'll show you exactly what I do. Some people do like absentee owned, which you can do. So you can do like owner occupied. You can say no, not owner occupied, which is going to change. If we go here, you can see it went from 100,000 to 32,000. So that could be a factor right there. I'm actually just going to keep it. I'm going to do a couple different searches. So property types, this is the first thing you want to do. You can sort by single family, condo, townhouse. I'm going to do multifamily, 2 to 4, and 5+. And you can also do all this crazy stuff like dairy farms, feedlots. You can search by wildlife refuges. I mean, they really get pretty specific here, but I'm going off on a tangent. So we're doing 2 to 4 units in Alexandria. It could be owner occupied or non-owner occupied. MLS status. This is another thing you want to do. So I'm going to say, no, it's not listed on the market. So multifamily, there's not many multifamily properties. So that was only really about 2% of the property. So now we only have a list of about 2,400, which is good because you want a very targeted type of list. So as we keep going down here, you can see pre-foreclosure. So you can search by pre-foreclosure. Some states, like Maryland, for example, I don't think you're allowed to market to pre-foreclosure. So you need to be careful with that. So I'm just not going to do that for right now. Ownership info, this is important. So with motivated sellers, it's typically not going to be somebody that's owned the property for like a year. It's typically going to be like 10 years of ownership, 15 years of ownership. I know some people that search by like 20 years of ownership. So I'm actually just going to put 10 years of ownership and we'll see how this list changes a little bit. So it just knocked off like 1,000 people. So we're getting much more specific, much more targeted here. And also if you can do quick list choices, so you can do like vacant, liens, pre-foreclosures, but I like to get a little bit more granular here. So you have all these different options here. So we're doing ownership info at least 10 years. Some people do lien, bankruptcy, divorce status, so you can really get specific with the exact type of lien. So this could be a good search tool as well. You can do like tax liens. Now for multifamily, like there might not be a ton of tax liens. Like, see, there's only 2 properties that really have tax liens. So obviously, I'm not going to use tax liens as a criteria. Because I've bought some amazing properties that have no liens whatsoever. I've bought some amazing properties that have tons of liens. So I like to keep it a little bit more broad. And, you can do divorce, bankruptcy. I don't really do too much of that. Equity, this is important. So some people do like at least 50% equity, and every data collector says that they have like the most accurate results, but I'm always a little bit wary of how accurate the equity predictor is. So, you can do like 10 or 50 or, usually most people do like 50% equity. I'm just going to do 10 just because if you've owned a property for at least 10 years in this area and it's multifamily, you probably have some equity. So it didn't really affect the list too much. We still have about 1,500. And then mortgage, you can do like amount of mortgages, 0, 1, 2, 3. If someone has like 3 mortgages, there's probably not too much equity. So I've sorted it by the area I want, the type of property, years of ownership, a little bit of equity. I'm also going to do one more criteria. So I'm going to do actually senior owners. So people that, maybe they just want to retire and get rid of the property. So that's probably going to narrow the list down quite a bit here. Yeah, so only 257. So that's a very potentially, motivated list. And something to keep in mind with your marketing, like usually when I'm marketing per month, I might market to like 10,000 people every single month. So 257 is really not that much, but it's, this is more of just like an example, because the thing you need to know about marketing is that you might have the most targeted list, but you still might only get like a 1% response rate, or maybe like a 2% response rate. So you need to be targeted with your marketing, but you need to set your expectations. If I contact 257 of these people, I'm not going to get 257 responses. I'd be happy with like 10 responses. So another couple of cool features, you can do map or satellite view, depending on what you want. And then you can also do analytics. So you can get an idea of the estimated values in the area. So the red is $1 million. And the blue is like under 100,000. So you can see there could be some pretty valuable properties around here. And then they also show like MLS stats, price growth. This is pretty interesting. So the price growth, you can see over the course of a year, what areas have the most amount of price growth. So if you're looking for like a really up and coming neighborhood, you can target more of like the red areas like around here. Over in Alexandria, the properties have been kind of steady, but it's still a great area and still close to everything. I think there's still some potential here. So what you also want to do is you want to save your searches. So I'm going to just save this search as Alexandria multifamily, and then I'll just put in a couple of quick notes like owned at least 10 years, multi-units. You don't have to do this, but an older. And then you can do save, and then you can also email when new properties become available. I'm probably just gonna say don't email. I get enough emails, so I'll probably just do save, and then it's gonna have your saved searches. So once you get like 20 or 30 searches, and most people will also say to save your search with a date in there, because every 3 or 4 or 5 months you should probably update your list, just so it's the most accurate. So next up, we want to actually market to these people. I want to buy one of these 257 properties. I want to buy multiple, hopefully more than one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this. So 257 selected. I'm going to say add to list. And I already had that saved, but the new marketing list, we're going to call it Alexandria multifamily. We're going to do save. And what's really cool about PropStream is that a lot of websites like ListSource and some of these other ones, they're going to charge you like per lead. So they're going to charge you like 10 cents, 20 cents per lead. With PropStream under the basic membership, you can get up to 10,000 names every single month. And then if you want to get more than that, it's an additional fee, but it's not really that expensive. So if I were to build a list of like 10,000 properties, which actually I do, because I market to about 10,000 people every single month, that list would cost me a fortune on ListSource and some of these other list providers. So PropStream, just under the basic membership, you can get 10,000 names, which is incredible. So now I'm going to show you how to market to these people. And what's great about PropStream is that you can get data, you can get their email addresses, phone numbers to either cold call them or do a ringless voicemail, in addition to the mailing address. So if you can combine your direct mail campaign along with a ringless voicemail, cold call, and email or even text campaign, that can be pretty powerful. You're going to get in contact with these people. So what we're going to do is come over here. I'm going to click on campaigns. We're going to just do a postcard campaign. And so it'll show you how much it costs. So this is pretty comparable. If you're mailing bulk, like 5,000, the cost is pretty comparable to like Click to Mail and these other websites. So the cost is pretty good. It's pretty standard. I usually do 4.25 by 6, kind of a small postcard. The size probably is not going to make a huge difference. they're either going to want to sell their house or not. So we can start with a predefined template, or you can just do a blank template. I would just do one of their templates. A thing to remember with marketing is you're really just trying to find the right person. It doesn't necessarily matter what it says on the postcard. Like, you're not just going to convince someone that doesn't want to sell their house that all of a sudden they need to sell their house. So you can really choose any number of these postcards. I probably wouldn't do like a foreclosure one. I would probably just say, we buy houses cash, something like that. Sell me your house. This one looks like it would stand out. It's got a smiley face on there. So then you would select that. And then, you can kind of get into, you can see what it looks like, and you can kind of like do some different edits on it if you need to. And so you would just fill in your information and then just pay, and then that's how you would basically market to them. So here's all the contact information of the people. I just went to contacts and clicked on that. It has a property address, mailing address, which is, most people do direct mail. Now, to get their email and phone number, you need to do skip tracing, but, again, they make it very affordable and easy to skip trace, and it does it like instantaneously. So you do skip tracing, and then it would populate with their email and phone numbers, and they might give you like 3 or 4 phone numbers. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be about as accurate as you can get. So if you're marketing to these people with postcard, ringless voicemail, as well as email marketing, you're going to get some responses. And some people, what they do, they'll just export the list of contacts, and instead of using the voicemail through PropStream, they'll just use what's called Sly Broadcast. And with Sly Broadcast, it's a lot less expensive. I think it's about 10 cents per delivered voicemail with PropStream. With Sly Broadcast, it's like 4 cents, so you might want to try that out. But besides that, that's pretty much how you market to these lists. Another thing I want to show you real quick is just running comps. So they make it pretty easy to run comps. So let's say that this person gave me a call, and let's say I don't have access to the MLS. I'm just trying to get a good idea of what the property's worth. So you could just click on it. Let me move this out of the way. And it's going to give you all this information. So it's going to say, here's the value, the estimated value, which, who knows, may or may not be correct. But then, and it'll give you all this additional information, so it was a gift deed, 2015. This is a duplex, comparables, and nearby listings. You can do MLS comps, which is going to be, it's going to give you a lot of comps actually. And you can do it by date range, so you can maybe just do like a year. You can do it by square footage if you want. And then you can also I'd probably do both. So you get the public record, the off-market deals, as well as the MLS deals. And this gives you 100 properties, right? Which seems like a lot, which is a lot. However, what you can do, you can really narrow it down. So you can do a smaller date range. You can do a smaller distance amount. And then you can choose. So this says the average sale price is like $440. If you just select certain properties, it's going to update in real time. So I'm going to unclick this. And then because this is a 2-unit, you want to make sure they're all 2 units. So I probably would click on, 2 units on Farmington. And, some of these, I don't know why it's giving single family houses and condos and stuff like that. Maybe that's why it has 100. But you want to just do 2 units, and then it'll update in real time like the average sale price. So depending on what you click on, it's going to update. You can also find the cash buyers in the area. So you just click on cash buyers, and this is, if you're wholesaling a deal, you could find, you would add these people to the list and maybe skip trace them and get their email and phone number, and then you could call them and say, hey, I have a deal, what do you think? So overall, it's a really awesome tool. And like I mentioned, I'll put a 7-day free trial link below. And if you use that link, you and I can do a 30-minute free coaching call where we can go more into depth on finding off-market deals, real estate investing, marketing, whatever it is you want to talk about. So use that link and just shoot me an email or direct message on Instagram, and we can set up a call. And also, if you have any questions just in general about the service, just drop a comment below. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.